Hey fans, welcome back to another Retro RAW review. We are gonna review the very third episode of Monday Night Raw here. This episode took place in New York City at the Manhattan Center, January 25th, 1993. And this was right after the 1993 Royal Rumble. So let's dive right into it. So Monday Night Raw starts off a little different here on commentary side. You have Rob Bartlett, Vince McMahon, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Now, why, you may ask? Where's Savage at? Well, good question. Here's an answer. The first match is Repo Man losing to Macho Man Randy Savage in a 13.5-minute match. It was a good, explosive, exciting way to start Raw. The fans enjoyed it. Wasn't a terrible match. It was a good way to start the show off. And I give it an up because it really did get the fans energized, ready for Monday Night Raw. And one thing that got us to that point was Repo Man makes his entrance, and before Macho Man's music can even hit, Randy Savage comes out and just beats down the Repo Man. Some back and forth action, off and on action, but in the end, Macho Man prevails. Good way to start Raw. Gets a thumbs up. And then we get to match 2 after the commercial break. Kamala defeats the Brooklyn Brawler in a terrible squash match. I mean, I understand Kamala's gimmick. I understand that he's this Ugandan giant type of character, but it was just really lame. I mean, if they were trying to be funny, they failed. It made Kamala look like he didn't know how to pin a wrestler. He was flipping him over on his back and lifting his leg up, trying to pin him that way. He didn't understand how to wrestle, it looked like. And, you know, for a match, I mean, I guess if you're looking for a squash match, this is fine. But the Brooklyn Brawler, I believe, has been in WWE for a really long time. And I wouldn't think he would be the guy to just go out there and get squashed this easily and this simply to Kamala. If they wanted this to happen, they should have gotten another character, another person who's not been wrestling, who's not been on TV as much, to lose in this fashion. But the Brooklyn Brawler, especially, I think he was hailed from New York, you know, he really did just go out there and lose. He didn't have much offense. It was just really boring, and the reason it gets it down from me is because, one, it was a terrible squash match, and two, if me myself was at an event and saw this, it's not something I'd be jumping out of my seat for. It's not something I'd be writing home about. It's not something I'd be really interested in. I'd just be like, okay, well, this 3 minutes or whatever is over. Let's get on to some action. So Kamala's terrible squash match, defeating Brooklyn Brawler, gets a down. So now we get on to our next up, and that is to Mean Gene Okerlund. He's here to give us a Royal Rumble recap. He lets us know in a quick interview fashion what happened at the Rumble. He really did make it easy for the fans. The ones who couldn't afford the pay-per-view, the ones who didn't get to watch it, maybe they couldn't stay up past their bedtime, maybe they didn't have enough money for the pay-per-view. It's okay. Mean Gene Okerlund did not shame you for this. He gave you an update. He let you get right on track where all the fans that watched it was. And I have to give a thumbs up to Mean Gene because he kept you in the loop. Yes, you may or may not have seen the Rumble, but for those who didn't get to see it, Mean Gene didn't shame you for not buying it. He didn't shame you for your bedtime, or he didn't shame you for working. No, when you turned into Monday Night Raw, especially on this episode, Mean Gene was the guy to say, hey, you might have missed the Rumble. Well, not only is there a special encore presentation on pay-per-view, but just in case you can't purchase it, just in case you don't want to go back and do all that, here is what happened. So Mean Gene, thanks for keeping us updated at this time on what happened at the Rumble. You, my friend, get it up. And the third match and the main event is a good 23-24 minute match. Ric Flair versus Mr. Perfect. Loser leaves WWE main event. This now, even though we're talking about the third episode of Raw, out of 3 episodes of Raw, this was the biggest match and main event yet to meet Monday nights. And Ric Flair obviously lost the match, but we had a great showing between these two. One thing I really enjoyed about this match is Ric Flair talked about being the dirtiest player in the game. He was putting his feet on the ropes. He was trying to cheat every way he could. He literally lived up to the moniker of dirtiest player in the game. In the end, it didn't really do him much. It really didn't help him out. He still lost. He was still out of the WWE. But it was a great main event, the best main event we've seen so far on WWE Monday Night Raw television. And I have to give this match an up, because not only did Ric Flair lose and have to leave, but Mr. Perfect looked like $1 million. So kudos to Ric Flair for making Mr. Perfect out to be the biggest star possible and the biggest winner as possible in this match. This match gets an up. Now, there is another up that I want to give this Flair Perfect match. According to my notes and research, Flair was angry and not happy in WWE. He was upset that he was not in the main event and that he was moved down to mid-card status. Ric Flair would obviously leave WWE in 1993 and show up at WCW in 1993. But he just was not happy about being in the mid-card. He wanted the main event. He wanted the world title. He wanted the last match on the show. And WWE already had their storylines and their plans already in motion. And Flair didn't like that he was not in those plans. So Flair apparently left due to being in mid-card spots. And the reason I give this an up is because WWE notices, okay, we have Flair leaving. He's no longer going to be on WWE television. He's most likely going back to the competitor, WCW. How do we write him off TV? Do we just let him sit out the rest of his contract and do nothing? No. WWE thinks on the creative side. How about we do this? How about we have Mr. Perfect face him in a loser leaves WWE match? We give Flair a great main event. We give Flair a great send-off. And, everybody wins. We get to have a reason why he's no longer here. The fans get the explanation. They get the reason. And we get to give him a proper send-off. So this worked in everyone's favor. The fans were given a reason instead of, oh, well, Flair's gone, bye. No, the fans get what they deserve, and that's a reason and an explanation. We get Flair given a proper send-off, and then in the process, we get Mr. Perfect, who comes out of this thing as looking like $1 million. He just beat the Nature Boy, one of the biggest wrestlers in that time, and he sends him out of WWE. So this really did add to a lot to Mr. Perfect. He definitely came out of this looking like $1 million, and that's what you're supposed to do. Ric Flair fulfilled all of his duties. He went on tour. He went on all the live events, all the Raws, and at this point in time, he was leaving, and I think everyone won. The fans, Mr. Perfect, and Ric Flair. So the way they dealt with this gets it up from me. Well, guys, that was the third episode of Raw. We got hundreds and almost thousands of more to go. We're going through them. We're watching them. We're writing our ups and downs. We're getting everything out of the way. I want to appreciate you guys for coming along this journey with me. And we promise to try to get better at this. We just want to do a good thing for wrestling and for the fans, such as myself. And if you want a good wrestling experience, if you want to come and feel home on a wrestling page, look no further. Go to Facebook and type in Ring Post Daily Podcast, and you will see one of the greatest, most wholesome, humble Facebooks and wrestling podcasts you will ever come across. You can get in on the live interviews with indie wrestlers. You can join polls. You can watch us compete for the RPD title and ring, and it's a lot of fun to be part of. So if you're looking for a good wrestling podcast to call home, check out Ring Post Daily. So that was it. Raw gets about 4 ups, and it gets 1 down. Not too bad. We'll see you guys in the next Retro Raw review.